Chosen one. There are moments when the air itself feels different, when something within you tells you to pause, to listen closely, to feel more deeply than usual. This is one of those moments. This is not something to be skimmed over or casually heard while walking in public or multitasking through a busy day. No, this is a sacred message, one that requires privacy, stillness, and reverence. You've been chosen to hear what many are not prepared for. God has stirred something powerful in the atmosphere, and this transmission is not for the faint of heart or the easily distracted. When God sends a warning, it is not with the intention to spark fear, but to provide clarity, protection, and preparation for what lies just beyond the veil. Watch this video until the end, and write your warmest wishes in the comments, and write Amen along with the number 99. Not just as a habit, but as a spiritual agreement. This is a moment to energize the unseen, to put faith into form. Let your words carry energy. Let your written prayer open portals. When the collective joins in the vibration of faith, something begins to move. Wishes do come true, but they're magnified when they're spoken and believed in unity. Now, chosen one, like this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. God has placed you under a divine covering. But there's a reason you felt spiritually uneasy lately. A sense that something isn't quite right around certain people, certain places, certain spaces. You've been given access to knowledge and revelation that isn't meant for the public. It's meant for you. Hand-selected, delivered at a specific moment in your timeline. That's why the message came with a restriction. Don't open this in public because not everyone near you is worthy of what's about to unfold. Some would twist it, others would mock it, and a few would try to sabotage it. But what God has sent is not up for public debate. It is a sacred warning to the one who is truly listening, to the one who carries a divine assignment. You were not chosen to entertain. You were chosen to carry out something specific, something rare, something dangerous to the dark. There are whispers in the spirit that you can hear that others pretend not to notice. There are signs you see that others call coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's spiritual sensitivity, heightened by divine protection. This message came to you in this exact hour because something is being activated within you, and the warning is not meant to scare, it is meant to awaken. God doesn't warn without reason. When He speaks with urgency, it's because something unseen is moving in your direction, and it's time to be still, alert, and completely covered. You've been revealing too much to people who were never supposed to understand your purpose. You've shared ideas, feelings, hopes, visions only to be met with silence, skepticism, or subtle jealousy. And now God is saying, stop, pull back, seal the sacred. Because what is coming to you next must be shielded from casual eyes. Not every conversation is innocent. Not every question is curious. Some are laced with dark intention masked behind smiles and familiarity. And so the instruction is clear. Guard what I gave you. What is unfolding is only for the spiritually mature. It's not entertainment, it's elevation. Your next move is being closely watched in the spirit realm. Light and dark forces are paying attention. Every step you take, every message you receive, every door that opens, it sends ripples through the unseen. That's why you felt tired even when you've done nothing physically strenuous. That's why you've been under spiritual attack without obvious cause. You're being tracked not by man, but by energies that see your potential and fear what you might become once fully activated. That's why God sends this warning, because you are no longer hidden. You're about to be revealed. And not everyone can handle that. There are moments when the heavens go silent, not because God has turned away, but because He is observing your response to hidden instruction. This is one of those moments. This warning is an invitation into sacred secrecy, into discernment, into stillness that sharpens your hearing. God isn't just giving you information. He's preparing you for responsibility. The type that doesn't come with applause, but with assignment. And the first step of this assignment is silence. Sacred silence, divine discretion. There's a door that's opening soon, and only your obedience can walk you through it. But if you speak prematurely, if you show the vision to the wrong eyes, you delay the promise. That is what the enemy wants, to distract you, to bait you into exposure, to keep you visible before you are ready. God is giving you something fragile before it becomes powerful. Like a seed placed in your spirit, it must be kept in the dark until it takes root. If you expose it too early, you invite doubt. You invite interference. You allow others to curse what they were never meant to comment on. Don't let curiosity steal your covering. This warning is more than a message. It is a shield. You have seen what happens when others open things too early, share too loudly, reveal too soon. Their blessings were delayed, their peace disrupted, their clarity stolen. God is not being dramatic. He is being precise. Don't open this in public. Don't explain what hasn't been instructed. Don't touch what isn't time. There are layers to this moment. The things God has told you recently, the dreams, the signs, the inner whispers, they are real, but they're not for social media. They're not for group chats. They're not even for family right now. They are for your altar, your secret place, the room where you meet with the Spirit in silence and surrender. That's where this message belongs. That's where it activates fully. You are being entrusted with divine strategy. Strategy that, if leaked, loses its power because this isn't a performance, it's a positioning. Heaven is watching how you hold the sacred will. You speak just to be heard, or will you listen just to be led? This warning carries weight because it is connected to something much larger than you. There's a chain reaction in motion. You are the trigger. What you do now sets off movements that will affect others around you. Your obedience is the spark. That's why the enemy is whispering distractions. That's why people who normally ignore you are suddenly curious. That's why spiritual interference has increased. It's not random. It's targeted because you are carrying something. Something that, if handled correctly, will break chains, open doors, and unlock supernatural alignment. God is giving you instructions, not suggestions. Take that seriously. He's not playing. He's protecting. The reason this message must be absorbed in solitude is because it's coded specifically for your spirit. No one else can interpret it for you. What's about to happen will unfold in layers, each layer unlocking only when you choose to stay hidden until the right time. Even your blessings will arrive in stealth mode. Quiet deposits, silent breakthroughs, invisible approvals. Because the loud ones are easy to destroy, but the hidden ones, they flourish in silence. God is about to fund something through you that is so impactful, so unusual, that if word gets out too early, resistance will rise against it. So you're being trained to move like royalty. Quiet, wise, strategic. You're not being paranoid. You're being prepared. You're not being isolated. You're being insulated. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. This is the divine arrangement. God is speaking to you like this because he trusts you. He knows your heart is aligned. He knows you feel the shift even if you can't explain it. He knows you've cried out in silence, asking for clarity, guidance, a sign. This is it. The warning is not a threat. It's a blessing in disguise. It means something important is near, something that must be handled with extreme sensitivity. Don't underestimate what's coming just because it hasn't fully arrived yet. And don't mistake the delay for denial. God is working in realms you can't yet see. That's why he needs you to stay still, stay sharp, and stay silent. You've crossed into a zone where everything matters. Every word, every response, every decision. The stakes are higher because the reward is greater. Your name is on a release order in heaven, but it hasn't been handed over yet. You are on spiritual lockdown, not because of danger, but because of delivery. Something is being finalized on your behalf, and the enemy wants to force your hand before it's sealed. That's why the warning says, don't open this in public because your breakthrough is not for applause. It's for alignment. Don't trade intimacy with God for validation from people. You are about to experience a private miracle, a personal unveiling, a divine download, but only if you can protect what has been whispered to you in secret. This isn't for everyone. This isn't mass instruction. This is for the chosen, those who feel the trembling in their spirit as they hear these words. You are not ordinary. You are being prepared to handle the extraordinary. That's why you felt alone. That's why the pressure has increased. That's why silence has become your companion. Because God is doing something holy, and holy things must first be hidden. There's a reason why you've been feeling the pull to disconnect, why noise has become intolerable, why certain conversations suddenly feel empty. It's not because you've changed randomly, it's because God has shifted the frequency of your spirit. You've been elevated into a realm where public noise can't accompany private revelation. And now you're in the tension, the divine place where destiny demands your silence while the world demands your voice. But heaven is not interested in how loud you can speak. Heaven is focused on how quietly you can carry. The weight of what's coming isn't meant to be displayed. It's meant to be delivered in obedience. You're stepping into something that only makes sense in hindsight. To others, your current path may seem strange, mysterious, even reckless. But God has closed their understanding for a reason. He doesn't need them to see what you're carrying. He only needs you to protect it. There is a code embedded in your current journey, and it can only be activated in the presence of divine privacy. That's why certain people have drifted, why some friendships have gone silent, why opportunities that once looked promising have fallen through. They weren't compatible with the next chapter of your revelation. And so God cleared the space. You are being refined in the absence of applause, repositioned without warning, redirected without explanation, and it's all part of the plan. You are not in delay, you are in design. God is adjusting your atmosphere. The spiritual climate around you had to change because what's coming needs different soil. It needs sacred soil, not public platforms, not premature sharing. What's being planted now is rare and it must be covered by the right conditions. That's why this message is urgent, because you've been tempted to open the scroll before the stage is built. But God says, wait, protect, carry. Do not unveil what heaven has just begun to form. There is spiritual intelligence in silence, a strategy in stillness. God isn't withholding. He's positioning and he's teaching you how to handle revelation in secret. Not everything divine must be broadcasted. Some miracles are birthed in the dark, announced only by the shift they bring. You won't need to explain what God is doing. Your transformation will become the explanation. And that's the power of sacred process. It builds something stronger than applause. It builds authority. And authority comes through what is endured, not what is displayed. You were never meant to carry this publicly. Not yet. The stage is not ready, the watchers are not silent, and the atmosphere is still too contaminated for release. That's why heaven sent a strong warning to slow your pace, to redirect your words, to preserve the power inside you. Because there are eyes on you right now that don't love you. They envy you. They don't celebrate you. They monitor you. And while they cannot stop what God has set in motion, they can cause delay if you give them access to what should have been sacred. So this is your line in the sand, the moment to guard what was gifted, to preserve what was promised. The revelation you hold is a seed of divine disruption. It is meant to break old systems, open new paths, and shift generational lines. That's why the resistance has increased. That's why confusion has tried to creep in. The enemy is not attacking you because of where you've been. He's attacking because of where you're going. Because what you carry isn't just about you. It's about what's connected to you, your children, your legacy, your lineage. That's why this warning couldn't wait. God had to speak before you spoke. He had to caution before you declared, because the danger is not in what you carry. It's in revealing it too soon. You've been chosen for something extremely delicate, like divine surgery happening in your soul. And any external interference could cause spiritual contamination. That's why God is closing off your access. That's why certain plans didn't go through. That's why people you thought were safe suddenly feel distant. Because God is building a shield around you, and the first layer of that shield is silence. Discretion is no longer optional. It's divine protection. This is not about being secretive. It's about being sacred, about honoring what heaven is doing through you, about understanding that not every elevation should be seen in the open. Some things must rise in silence, in mystery, in the shadows of divine timing. Because when the right moment arrives, God will not only reveal what He's done, He will also silence every tongue that questioned the process. He will vindicate the quiet, honor the hidden, elevate what was covered. But only if you hold the line now. You are walking a tightrope between manifestation and sabotage, between miracle and miscarriage, and the balance depends on your ability to obey the still small voice. The warning didn't come for no reason. It came because you're close. So close, in fact, that the enemy has deployed distractions with your name on them. Familiar voices, old patterns, even appealing offers, all designed to get you to speak prematurely. But you've come too far to lose it now. You've grown too much to leak what's still being written. There is an intelligence in heaven that sees beyond what you know. Trust it. Even when it feels lonely, even when it feels confusing, God is asking for your silence now so He can unleash something through you that will be impossible to ignore later. And it won't need to be explained. It will be undeniable. You're not losing your voice. You're being trained to use it at the appointed time. The silence you're asked to hold now is the stage you'll speak on later, but only if you obey the instruction. Don't open it in public. Don't unveil the sacred before it's sealed. Let the people wonder. Let them question. Let them speculate. Your obedience is your evidence. Your silence is your shield. And your patience is your proof. God will do what He said, but only through the vessel who honors His timing. The warning was strong because the blessing is stronger. The silence is deep because the release will be loud. The covering is heavy because the impact will be holy. Don't despise the quiet. Don't curse the concealment. It's part of your consecration. You're not being hidden. You're being held. Not by fear, but by fire. Not by shame, but by strategy. And this fire will forge you. This silence will prepare you. This moment will mark you. So when the time comes to speak, you won't just have words. You'll have weight. Divine weight. Authority forged in fire. Insight earned in secret. Power sealed in silence. And when God says now, the world will see what He has been forming all along. But until then, keep it sacred. Keep it sealed. And above all, don't open this in public. The deeper you go into this spiritual unfolding, the more you begin to realize that God doesn't just entrust messages, He entrusts moments you're living inside one of those moments. Now, a divine pause orchestrated not to delay your progress, but to isolate the blueprint. This warning didn't fall into your lap by coincidence. It was sent to intercept a potential misstep, because what's forming around you is bigger than words can explain, bigger than others can comprehend. And if you expose it too early, you don't just lose time, you risk distorting its shape. God doesn't need you to make noise. He needs you to make room for discernment, room for spiritual downloads, room for private instruction. That's why you've been craving solitude lately. Why your energy has shifted? Why you feel drained after casual conversations that once energized you? Because you've outgrown the atmosphere of distraction. You've matured beyond empty talk. You now require silence the way others require validation, because your spirit knows something is coming. And that something cannot be born in a crowd. There are forces that wait for revelation just to mimic it. Spirits that linger on the edges of chosen ones to steal their spark and package it as their own. That's why the Spirit of God says, don't open this in public. Because what you carry is not a brand, it's not a post, it's not a trending message. It is a sacred transmission assigned to you alone. Others might sense your glow, but they will not understand the gravity of your glow up, because they didn't survive your wilderness. They didn't bleed through your private battles. They weren't awake during your midnight cries. So now, when God gives the warning, He's not questioning your anointing. He's reminding you of the cost. You've already paid for this with your obedience, your patience, your pain. Why forfeit it now by opening it to unclean hands? Why invite delay by putting holy things in unholy places? You don't owe explanations to anyone who cannot hold your revelation. Not now, not ever. There is a divine hush that has fallen over your path. Take it seriously. Don't mistake silence for stagnation. This silence is spiritual scaffolding. God is building something around you and within you. Something intricate, something layered, something only the Spirit can comprehend. If you were to describe it to others, they'd only hear words. But God sees blueprints, kingdom blueprints. And this time, your obedience is the password to access what has been sealed on your behalf. You've come too far to be casual. Now you're no longer someone who can afford to react emotionally or impulsively. You carry too much weight. Your destiny has been anointed. You've been marked by fire. And your footsteps are now tracked by both heaven and hell. Everything about your life has become strategic. Every delay, every route, every moment of silence is divinely calculated. That's why the enemy doesn't want you quiet. He wants you loud and careless. Because loudness can leak destiny. But silence shields the sacred. There are people around you who are not enemies but are not assigned to your next. They mean well, but they're not equipped to walk with you into this level of responsibility. God is not asking you to judge them. He's asking you to separate your sacred instructions from their curious eyes. Because the weight you carry is not shared. It's singular. You are not being asked to convince anyone. You're being asked to carry what they would collapse under. And for that, you must stay hidden until heaven says otherwise. God has been protecting you from premature applause. He knows that if people saw what you were carrying right now, they would rush you to a stage before you were fully prepared. And stages without strategy are dangerous. They build momentum without maturity. But God is growing your root system beneath the surface. And no one claps for roots. No one celebrates the hidden hours, the sacred sacrifices, the silent yeses that build eternal weight. But God sees and He multiplies in secret before He reveals in public. There is no need to worry about recognition. There is no need to explain yourself. The instruction is simple. Obey in silence. Carry the warning like a seal upon your spirit. Every time you feel tempted to post what was meant for prayer, remember this moment. Every time you want to vent what should be vetted through the Spirit, remember this instruction. Every time you want to show what hasn't yet been signed by heaven, remember this warning. Don't open this in public. You are being called into a new level of intimacy with God. A dimension of divine secrets, kingdom mysteries, but not all secrets are meant to be shared. They are meant to shape. And what God is giving you now is not for public consumption. It's for personal construction. He's building something eternal through you, something pure. And purity cannot be exposed prematurely or it will spoil. Understand this. Every step you take now is being observed in the Spirit. The angelic realm has been dispatched to protect the plan. But they move based on your discernment, your words, your silence, your trust. You don't need to broadcast what you're birthing. You need to protect it like it's alive because it is. The vision is alive. The blessing is alive. The shift is alive. And life requires sacred space. The enemy would love for you to open the message publicly. He would love for you to unwrap the instructions in front of eyes that aren't aligned. But the Spirit is clear. This moment is private, and your power is preserved through your posture. Stay low. Stay humble. Stay quiet. There is oil on your obedience. There is favor on your silence. There is glory on your privacy. God will reveal it when the time is right. And when He does, it will not be questioned. It will not be debated. It will not be explainable. It will be undeniable. Until then, hold your peace. Protect the promise. Guard the gift. And don't open this in public. The atmosphere around you has shifted. And if you listen closely, you can feel the weight of it. The pressure isn't imaginary. The silence isn't accidental. This is not just a quiet season. This is a spiritual lockdown. It is heaven's protocol over your path. When God releases something that carries the ability to shake systems, challenge darkness, and awaken generations, He doesn't do it carelessly. He does it with layers of protection. And you are inside one of those layers now. There is a sacred intensity over your life right now. And this intensity is not meant to scare you. It's meant to signify how rare the moment is. It's the kind of moment that only comes once in a spiritual cycle. You can't duplicate it. You can't recreate it. You can only protect it. That's why the message came with a restriction. That's why you were warned not to open this in public. Because the weight of what is being released into your spirit cannot be held in casual conversation or diluted through public exposure. God is trusting you with something massive. It's not visible yet, but it's potent. It's vibrating within you like a coded transmission from heaven itself. You've been hearing it in dreams, feeling it during moments of stillness, sensing it when no one else seems to notice the shift. That is not coincidence. That is divine alignment, and it comes with this single uncompromising instruction. Don't open it where others can distort it. Don't speak it before it has time to take shape. People around you may be confused. They may think you're being distant. Some may even assume you're hiding something. But what they don't understand is that obedience often looks like secrecy. Protection often looks like retreat. And what God is forming in you cannot be subjected to commentary, even from those who care about you, because their perception is not required. Only your obedience is. This is a wilderness season. Not because you're lost, but because you're being led. There is a difference. You're not wandering, you're being watched over. God has placed you in this temporary state of spiritual privacy so that you can receive the full download without interference. Every time you've been tempted to speak on what's happening, the Spirit held your tongue. Every time you tried to explain, you felt blocked. That wasn't random. That was protection. Divine security is surrounding your destiny like a firewall, because once the words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. Once the vision is revealed, it cannot be unseen. And in the wrong hands, even divine revelation becomes vulnerable to corruption. That's why God is asking for something deeper from you right now. He's not just asking for faith, he's asking for maturity. The maturity to sit in silence with something holy, to nurture a word that hasn't been confirmed yet in the natural, to protect a promise that hasn't yet manifested. That kind of maturity is rare, but you were chosen for this very reason. You are carrying a scroll written in fire, etched with instruction, marked with destiny. This scroll was not meant to be read aloud in crowded spaces. It was written to be unveiled in sacred timing, in divine privacy, where only you and God commune, where only heaven watches and waits. You must understand the magnitude of that. You are not just someone with potential. You are someone with prophetic weight, and that weight cannot be carried lightly. There is a spiritual intelligence rising in you, and with it, a discernment so sharp that even your surroundings feel unfamiliar. People who used to speak into your life now feel distant. Places you once visited now feel foreign. That's not isolation. It's elevation. You're no longer compatible with the noise. You're no longer aligned with the surface. You're being pulled deeper into the holy chamber of preparation, into the spiritual vault where God refines his chosen ones before the reveal. And this vault is not shared space. It's not for visitors. It's not for observation. It's not for validation. It's for transformation. You are not being punished by silence. You are being purified in it. You are not being forgotten. You are being forged. Every hidden moment, every quiet hour, every tear cried in solitude is forming something eternal in you. Don't open it. Don't announce it. Don't post it. Just carry it until God says now. You've asked for confirmation. This is it. You've prayed for a sign. Here it is. You've longed to know if what you feel is real. Yes, it is. The weight, the urgency, the caution, the spiritual energy around you, it's all real. You are not imagining the heaviness. You are not exaggerating the resistance. You are not overthinking the distance you feel from others. It's all part of the divine alignment taking place in your life. And you are right where you need to be. But if you open the scroll now, if you reveal what God asked you to carry in secret, you risk undoing months, even years of spiritual labor. This is not a moment to impress others. This is not the time to seek applause. The reward will come, but the obedience must come first. This is your test. This is your measure. This is the moment that heaven watches closely. Can you hold it in silence until it is safe? Can you guard it until it is full? Many have been called into powerful things, but few have had the discipline to wait. That's what separates those who complete the assignment from those who only glimpse it. You've been chosen to complete it. You've been chosen to carry it to fullness. But fullness only arrives in secrecy. It doesn't need an audience. It needs a womb, a spiritual womb, that can hold it without leaking it to the world. God is reshaping your identity through this hidden instruction. He's giving you a glimpse of what you're becoming by requiring your silence now. Because when it is finally revealed, it won't be a whisper. It will be a roar, a breakthrough that breaks more than chains. It will break expectations. It will shatter limitations. It will shake rooms. But that level of impact can only be birthed through sacred silence. Don't open this in public. Not because it's shameful, but because it's sacred. You are not here by accident. This message found you because you're in alignment. And what happens next will depend on what you do now. Obedience is your agreement. Silence is your strength. Secrecy is your shelter. You will see the reward. But first, you must prove yourself trustworthy with the warning. The scroll is still sealed, the ink is still wet, the timing is still delicate. But the vision is alive. Keep it close. Guard it. Nourish it. And when the heavens open and the time is fully ripe, God will lift the veil and what was once hidden will become undeniable, but not a second before. Until then, this remains sacred. This remains private. This remains yours. There are realms in the spirit that you are now beginning to walk through that few will ever touch in their lifetime. This isn't just a new season, it's a divine dimension. It's not marked by outward changes, but inward clarity. You've crossed an invisible threshold where your assignment is no longer theory, it's in motion. And that's why God is so protective over you right now, because He knows what's coming next requires spiritual sobriety. It cannot be shared with everyone, not even those closest to you. The warning came wrapped in fire for a reason. It wasn't soft, it wasn't vague, it was specific, and it carried weight. Don't open this in public because public eyes cannot handle private instruction. This is not about fear, this is about spiritual stewardship. You've been given something rare, an encounter, an instruction, a spiritual formula, a divine positioning. And like a newly written scroll, it is sealed until heaven permits its reading. Anyone who handles it before that time risks misinterpretation, distortion, and destruction. And so you carry it in silence, not as a burden, but as a responsibility. God didn't trust this to a crowd. He trusted it to you. And that trust comes with protocols. That's what makes you chosen. Not that you were louder or more talented, but that you were sensitive enough to obey the silence. Strong enough to resist the urge to prove something. Mature enough to withhold what would have made you look powerful, but would have left your purpose vulnerable.